Hello, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear myself, so probably you can hear me as well. Thank you for being here, and I'm really happy to be here. For the first time in Vilnius, so this is my first time here. And I come from Poland, from Kraków. Have you ever been to Poland? Yeah. Is anyone here from Poland, maybe? Yeah, someone. Yeah, hello. So, who I am, who is speaking to you. I'm Magdalena Firlit, so you know it already. I have some, I would say, vast experience in general, 19 years of professional experience after university course. From 2008, I start moving towards agility, and we start Agile transformation in one company. That was an online portal in Poland. And then I moved to a bigger corporation that was Sabre Corporation, maybe some of you recognize it, and Motorola Corporation, Motorola Solutions in Kraków as well. So that was like a huge experience because of the level of complexity and difficulty in terms of Agile transformation. So yeah, right now I'm a professional Scrum trainer, Agile coach as well, Agile transformation coach. Also lecturer at the universities, usually for postgraduate studies, and the subject matter is Agile leadership. So I help leaders moving towards agility. I have no view, excuse me, technical. I have no view here of my presentation, so it would be like helpful. No. Yes, so I will be also asking questions to you because I would like you also to share your experience before, of course, I share my experience with you, some pitfalls, some anti-patterns, etc. So for you, let's find a pair, and for you, the task is to share your experience, what being agile means. Start. About 30 seconds, 1 minute. Just talk, just talk. Find your pair and talk. What does it mean being agile? Okay, hope you had the chance to just share just shortly your experience, you know. So what happened to me many times? Also, I have, of course, like very nice experience moving towards agility. Companies were agile, really not only delivering value in general, so not only earning money, but for example, like increasing the number of customers, increasing number of returning customers, and many more things you can imagine in terms of value. Because for different organizations, value can mean something different. And also, I met many organizations that are preventing themselves from being agile. So what being agile means? Some examples from your conversations. Yes, yeah, for sure. What else? Yes, sometimes, yeah. Okay, my presentation again. So for some examples, probably you mentioned them. One is adopt market conditions and to changes. So very fast adoption is also one of the goals of being agile. So when I'm going to the organization as a consultant, I'm asking them, why are you going to be agile? What is the reason for it? And sometimes people say, oh, okay, because other companies, they're actually doing it. Is it a really reason for being agile? It's a fashion? What do you think? Is it a fashion, being agile? Probably a little bit, yes. Probably, maybe. I'm not here to assess it. Absolutely not. Yeah, fashion, but it means something. It means something that we can quickly adopt to the market changes. Right now, our environment and our work environment and requirements demanding markets and customers are really right now demanding. So we need to adopt, we need to be faster and faster. Yes or not? Yes, usually yes. Yes, we cannot do anything about it. So proceeding like in the complex environment, it is really important to understand that some companies are in complex environment. And empirical approach, agile approach, is the only, probably maybe the only way for answering those complex challenges. For simple environments, maybe agility is too much, maybe there is no need. So be flexible and early realize value also, very early. So you need to validate your assumptions early to just know that you deliver something valuable or not. Also eliminate risk. You can, of course, you probably know it, about continuous improvements and other things like happy customers, happy employees, and probably many more. Probably you mentioned something different in your conversations, which is, of course, also good. So that's the reason organizations want to change. And who works in the Agile organization right now? Some of you, very good. Any kind of agile, like being flexible, delivering value, adopting quickly to the markets, to the changes, okay? And who is in the transition towards agility? Yeah. What about the rest? Traditional organization. Who is working in traditional environment? Some of you, yes. Do you think about moving towards agility? Yes, not? We'll see. Okay, so you can right now speak also to your pair or in freeze, depending, of course, if you have pairs right now, about your challenges and your point of view for moving towards agility in your organization. Okay, let's start talking a bit, like 1 minute. Thank you. Right now you know how to react to this, to the signal. Okay, and hope you have some challenges, hope you have some things to share between you, and we can move on. Sometimes the agile transformation requires the radical change. And that's why I would love to speak about anti-patterns. Anti-patterns for the organization because they are preventing themselves from being agile. I mean, they sometimes don't believe in it. They just like follow. That's why I was asking at the very beginning, what is the reason of being agile? Or what does it mean being agile? And those organizations, they just follow like, okay, we would like to have like agile teams, but not necessarily agile environment. During agile transformation, maybe you observe it as majority of you are in the transition or working in agile environment. Sometimes you need to also change your law department. For example, Agile contracts. Have you have experience with that? Legal contracts changes? Anyone? Yes, 1, 2, 3 people only. Because when you have, like, for example, the contract, which is like a classical contract following traditional approach, and you need to deliver, for example, release something each 5 sprints with your external customer, how can you assure this customer that it would be released or it will be delivered when the whole scope is not discovered yet? So very often you need to also change your contracts. Very often you need to go to the finance department to differently follow the finance requirements, for example, like invoicing process. Would you like to say something? No? Okay. So also, when you have like the project and the project approach, like having many projects in the organization, they don't serve products sometimes, or many projects serving many products. So it might be a bit chaotic, maybe yes, maybe not. And sometimes you need to reorganize the whole company and organize them, your teams, around products, not projects. Who has experience with reorganizing company? Some of you, yes, some of you. And who is thinking about it, about some reorg is needed? Yeah, some of you, yeah. Sometimes it's needed. When you have like the small organization, for example, let's say startup or like a 200 people, maybe there is no need for reorganize. But when you have something like bigger, like a corporate environment, also it's really hard to do it. Not only it's needed, but also it's hard. Sometimes you can reorganize your organization into some like Scrum Studios. Have you ever had this experience with Scrum Studio? Yeah, some of you. Not so many. So Scrum Studio is like the organization in the organization. Right? Yes, Scrum organization having even own marketing or finance, their own lawyers, etc. Everything what is needed, not only Scrum teams, but also different parts are also involved in the organization. And that's why you can do it in this Agile organization to serve fully your customers, even in the large one, even in the corporate environment. So you can divide your corporate environment into smaller parts. It's easy. But many organizations, they say, okay, there is no need to change. Let's say we are Agile and let's follow like iterative waterfall, and we can be still Agile. Unfortunately, sometimes there is not. And many organizations fail during their way to agility because they just don't need change. They think they don't need change, of course. Sometimes they really need. You cannot just do it and serve, for example, complex environment, having only the same things you had before. That was appropriate maybe for the classic approach, for traditional approach. If you would like to change, you need to also think sometimes that the huge change is needed. So, for example, there are several corporations I worked with, and they were like, I recognize them as this anti-pattern. Why? Because they told me, oh, let's have only Agile teams, and everything can be like at the higher layers of the organization, like management layers or product layers or, of course, project layers. They can remain the same. Sometimes they cannot. Sometimes they cannot. So you need to really also think about it and about the need for change. I don't mean that every time you need to change, but let's think about it if your organization really needs to be reorganized. We have also another RT patterns, not fully implemented Agile frameworks, like, for example, like Scrum. I'm from Scrum.org, so like, Scrum is the mostly natural for me, and Kanban, coming from lean philosophy, is also very familiar to me. I was also working with extreme programming. Who follows Scrum? Majority. Who follows extreme programming? Or maybe some practices from extreme programming, maybe. Okay, who follows Kanban? Some of you, yeah. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes in the one organization, you may have some teams adopting Kanban, some teams are adopting Scrum, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine, depending on the complexity or non-complexity. If you have simplicity in your teams, maybe Scrum is too much. But what does it mean, this anti-pattern? Anti-pattern means, okay, in the organization, we have daily Scrums, we have Jira, so we are Agile. Yeah. Yeah, we are. Yes, everyone. What are you talking about? We are Agile. We have daily Scrums. They call sometimes them stand-ups, of course, which just means sometimes status reports. And I don't mean about mechanics, because you can also apply all mechanics of, for example, Scrum or different framework. But without mindset and philosophy, it means nothing. We call it, at Scrum.org, zombie Scrum. So you may have everything. You may have all events, all artifacts, all rows, but still, it's the effect, it's not Scrum. Have you had the similar experience? Some of you, I expected more. So the rest of you are just doing perfect Scrum. Who is doing perfect Scrum, perfect Kanban, or other framework? Yeah, at least one person. Thank you. Good to hear it. Unfortunately, also, it can be the result of not understanding. Very often, top management, they just don't realize what does it mean being really Scrumish or Kanbanish or something like that. It means that we need to continuously improve. We need to be empirical. When you have, for example, your scope for, like, from the whole year, and this is like your whole scope is divided only into sprints, and the scope still follows like phases, it's not Scrum, unfortunately, because you cannot have all those benefits coming from Scrum. Why? What do you think? Because this is not empirical approach, following like iterative waterfall patterns. I don't mean that sometimes it may work for you, but in the environment, when you really need to change or when you really need to be adaptive, you need to have like something working at the end of your, or sprints or different, maybe you have different approaches, so I'm not here implying that only Scrum is perfect. That's why I'm asking about different also frameworks. So you need to have, after some period of time, some iteration, you need to have something really working, something you can validate immediately to the market. And people just skip this. They are doing this scope iteratively, but without validation or having it prepared. They have like additional like testing iterations, design sprints, so still phases, after which you cannot just simply validate it because you cannot release because your increment is not ready. So it means that maybe it is hard to deliver it and find value in it. So, my question is to you, who has done a radical change in your organization? Radical change, what does it mean? Yeah, that was a good question. A radical change, it means, for example, you come to your organization and you said, okay, so for me, it's important, guys, that in my organization, in this organization, we need to have products, for example, instead of projects. Or we need to have like cross-functional teams, really. We need to have agile leadership instead of traditional management. That's what I mean, like radical change. So the organization changed completely in terms of mindset, sometimes in terms of also their structure. Sometimes organization can be more flat. Have you had this experience? Some of you. And who is thinking about it? Some of you. And what about the rest? Any volunteer?
We're still doing it.
So you are in the transition, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I would like you to just conversate again, very shortly, why you need like radical change, or maybe you don't need radical change, because I can observe that majority of you don't think about radical changes. Sometimes it's not needed, as I said before. When you have like a small organization, maybe there is no need for doing it. Maybe you are already like organized around value, delivering value, around products. So let's have a conversation about it, why you need or why don't you need this radical change. Okay. Okay, hope you shared some of your experience. You can, of course, continue it during breaks or maybe in your work environment. So, for example, what I did when I was changing the company, because I would love to share also like a concrete examples, not only talking about some generic things. So, for example, in one organization we had 200 projects. It was only 1,000 people organization, 200 projects. And that was also the thing called utilization of resources. Do you know this term? Yeah. Do you utilize your resources? What can we say instead of resources? Maybe people, maybe human beings. And okay. And so what we did, we changed 200 projects and reorganized the whole company into a few products. Few, I mean like 15, 16, something like that. It turned out that we had some products, not projects, and no more resource utilization. So it was easy because the product one, product two, can you see it? Yeah, probably you should see it. So those are products. And inside products, we had several teams, so it was like about a bit scaling. One product owner to each product. Decisive product owner. Make changes, delivering value, having budget, having product backlog, one product backlog for one product. And that was a huge change. You can imagine 200 products into dozen, maybe 15, maybe 16 products. So platform products, it was also platform products, some of them, customer-oriented products. So it changed completely the whole organization, and that was like a bit flat, more flat. So less hierarchy in the organization, less communication blockers, communication impediments, less proxies, just direct product owner, direct teams, sometimes direct customers, and when it comes to internal products, internal customers, of course. So that also was the huge change. In one of the corporation, we had like a very classical hierarchy. It was like a classical with many levels. What we did Scrum Studio. We just took the part of the organization, had it like completely separately from the rest of the organization. So the rest was very hierarchical with lots of dependencies. So we removed as many dependencies as we could and had like the separate studio for delivering value. And what was interesting, those studio was really successful. And we did another studio, and that's not the end of the story. And this is the sad story, I'm sorry. They were also very successful, working directly with customers, seeing customers between US, Poland, and India. So it was also another complexity in terms of like time zones, distance, of course. Those two were successful. And you can imagine that the rest of the huge organization, they were blind having those data. They were blind for those because they were afraid of the change. So afraid that they couldn't like see clearly. They are still doing well, by the way, those two studios. They are great. But still, as far as I know, from this organization, I was working there over 2 years. And right now, I'm still in the constant communication with them. And I know that there is the same situation right now, 5 years or more. Can you imagine having data and doing nothing with the rest of the organization? So this is anti-pattern about not only implemented frameworks, but also the previous one. No need to change. So they are like somehow connected. And the pattern, of course, there are more patterns. I would like to just focus only on 3 of them due to time box, of course. So the next pattern is that customer and value are not so important in the organization. So for example, what I mean, like the top management experience or top management decisions are the most important than customers and value delivery. Do you have the similar situation that value and customers are not so important in your organization? And be transparent. So for you, the most important is value and customers, right? Yeah, very good, very good. That's what I expected. Yeah, very good. You must be careful because right now you work for this organization, another day you may work for someone else, right? So I would love to share this experience, not focusing on value and delivery to the customers. Unfortunately, some organizations, they would love to focus on what the C-level said, and this is like driven by C-level. What does it mean? For example, my husband, he works for gaming industry. They deliver the huge game, very well known in the world. And it should be fine, right? But still, even though they have like the internal feedback, but this is good, this is not good, what we have decision maker like the one person from the C-level. So let's imagine people tend to spend like a few months of delivering some gaming feature. It is tested, this is like sprint review, and it is tested, feedback gathered, okay? Everything goes smoothly. And then after, let's say, 5 months, there is a C-level who wants to see the progress of the game, of course. And I don't like it. After 5 months, let's imagine 100 teams working on something. And after 5 months, one-man decision, and it's like going to the trash. The 5-month effort. That's what organization can do with value delivery. They can just easily throw it away. In this organization, with those 2 studios successful, there was the same situation. People were frustrated because they are months of the effort working on something, on some features, they were just gone to the trash. This is like frustration, and also what it is waste of money. So what we did, what you can do with that, you can just simply say, okay, one sprint cost €1,000, X thousand euros, you know better in your organization. And you can show management, if you are doing this feedback, okay, you are always allowed to do feedback, right? To give us feedback. It's important, of course, but not after 5 months or 3 months. Just do it faster. Just see our progress faster. Because after 3 or 5 months, it may turn out that you spent millions of euros for nothing, or dollars, whatever. So you can easily calculate it and show you transparently your manager, why are you wasting so much money? By your decisions, giving those decisions so late, not very intensively and very often and regularly. So what you can do instead? You can do instead something like changes that are necessary to make your organization more agile, more flexible. Don't wait with your feedback. Or when you are in the position of manager or C-level or director, don't wait too much with your feedback. When you have something to say, just say it. When you need to validate with your customers, because you don't know just if your product fits to the market, just validate it, just gather feedback. And be more empirical also. So when you see also some data, like success stories in your organization, let's show it, let's insist on maybe some applying them, maybe more, in the rest of part of the organization, yes? Become an agile leader. Who is in the manager position here? Some of you. Who is in the Scrum Master position? Also some of you. Development position? Some of you. Product owner position? Very good. You can be all agile leaders. All of you, different, of course, accountabilities, but agile leadership mindset is what you can do. I mean being servant leader. I mean being the person who put the first your team and your team members and other rest of the organization than yourself. So serve others, not yourself, not your maybe huge career, and forget about the rest. Don't do it. Don't do it. It is also, can be also another anti-pattern. And what you can do more? Mainly focus on your customers. Mainly focus on your customers, because for your customers, both internal, external, you're actually delivering value for them. When you deliver value for your customers, at the same time you will be delivering value for your organization. It should be like equal. Use some, for example, evidence-based management approach. Have you used evidence-based management metrics? No. It's also an interesting topic. You maybe you can just dig up a little bit more after my talk about evidence-based management. So show data and then inspect and adapt based on data. So again, empirical approach. Showing data and again, adapt. Showing data and adapt. So make decisions based on data. It's not about being metric-driven. It's about making right decisions based on facts, based on data. So those are small tips, of course. That's not, of course, enough. It's just like 30 minutes. I'm wondering the last task for you. Have you discovered any other anti-patterns? Let's talk very shortly, because we don't have like so much time. So like 30 seconds, 1 minute, and maybe we can share other anti-patterns, okay, in your organizations. But organizations, they prevent themselves from being agile, all right? Find your pair, and let's discover more anti-patterns. Any other ideas, other anti-patterns for organizations? Share. Guys, share at least one anti-pattern. No, nothing more. Okay, there are many more. For example, the attitude of the organization. I'm great as the organization, and they are not. So diminishing their competitors also. It's like arrogant. So don't be so arrogant and think about also your competitors. It's just an example. As I said, this is like many of those anti-patterns. I could say that we can just discover tens of them. And okay, so it looks like 1 minute left. So I can say thank you, but I'm waiting for your questions because of course I cannot share experience and everything in 35 minutes. So let's ask me some questions and I will be answering them. Okay? For now, thank you so much.
Before questions from a mentee, maybe we have any question from here live? Just raise your hand in case. No? Okay, then wait for the questions from a mentee. So first question, how to hostile Agile manifest in a large financial corporations?
Oh yeah, it's a very good question. Right now I consult 2 banks in Poland. And it's really, and I can imagine it is really hard to find this correct approach for changing mindset. So what I'm doing, maybe not perfect, sharing my experience, what I'm doing, I'm talking with top management and the management. So up to this level I can, because the mindset is coming also of a culture of the organization, is coming from the top and from the bottom, of course. So you need to operate on all levels, team level, middle management level, and very top level. So talk to all levels in the organization, talk with the managers, talk about benefits, about their also needs, problems they may have, because they may have they are afraid of something, so they may have some fears towards agility. Some people just think that they will lose their job after changing their mindset. So it's also another, this is like a psychological safety. At the same time, we have customers, we need to deliver value, and so that is like the complex thing. But hope when you start talking about all those levels, you should discover what is the biggest fear of them. Does it answer this question? I don't know, because I don't know the offer.
Seem confused, but hopefully it had answered. Another question, do you think the teams really doing the work that provides value to customers should have a voice on the decision to transform?
Value to customers should have a voice on the decision to transform. Yes, sometimes, or I'm not sure if I really understand this question. Do you think that teams really doing the work that provides value to customers should have a voice? Yes, it's a question about teams or customers? Teams, yes. Yes. Example, I had a team who participated in the product In the product, I mean in the creation of the product. They were so engaged, so when you give them goal, give them the purpose of doing that, let them be innovative, and let them be engaged, so they can even propose some changes in the product. It's also very interesting when people say, okay, for us as a team, because we are using also the same product, it could be like this feature or that feature would be more beneficial. And product owner said, okay, let's check it. At the very beginning, very reluctant, but at the very end, it turned out that those people, those teams, they were more creative when one person. So it's really nice to hear the voice of your teams, so they can have their decision. Also, to transform, to show that we also be like a part of the product. It is one, of course, thing. The second thing, they can say, okay, we are losing our customers. Teams sometimes are aware of that. So what we need to do to keep our customers with us? So another thing. So many aspects of it can be. I think we can follow up, have a follow-up during some breaks, because it is so vast topic that I can spend like here 10 more minutes talking about it. But maybe some inspiration. So having goal, but also having not only and participate in the product. So this is the thing, and also they can discover that customers are really going away from us. What else we have?
Yeah, we have time for the last question.
Instead of stand-ups meeting, we have sit-down meetings. Is it anti-pattern? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm saying stand-up because we tend to use in Scrum daily Scrum, which is not stand-up, of course, and you can sit down during daily Scrums. I mentioned stand-up as an anti-pattern because people, organizations think, okay, we have stand-ups, so we have Agile. That's what I meant. Of course not, of course. The reason of having daily Scrum is to plan your day towards reaching sprint goal when it comes to Scrum, right? Not about standing and being like the person who is doing status report. Hope it answers.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Give applause.
Thank you too.